why this process matters now more than ever. This is why advisors have to face the problem of their own succession head on.
The whole goal of total succession is to remove the exit from it's done and finished, it's an end, to you're walking out and into something new that you envisioned, that you created, and that you're excited to do.
Welcome to the Total Succession Show. I'm your host, Tyson Ray, joined by Kim Cochenour. We're glad you're here. Subscribe at totalsuccession.com/podcast and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. Today's conversation just might be the nudge you need to start preparing for what's next.
All right, everybody. Today is going to be a little bit different. If you've been listening for a while, you know Tyson and I have had multiple conversations on the show about what it really takes to exit well. It's beyond the numbers to do it well. It's beyond the surface level conversations. We're excited to share that the book is finally here, Total Succession. And on today's episode, I actually get to flip the script and interview him.
Uh-oh.
You're all welcome.
Oh,
So
boy.
we're going to go behind the scenes. We're going to talk about why Tyson wrote the book, how the spacework framework came to be, and how it is built to help you with succession planning. So Tyson, because I know you well enough to know you don't stop and celebrate anything. First off, congratulations. This book has been many years in the making.
Well, I will say thank you to you and our team to helping pull it off, and many people that were involved in it. And here we are.
Yeah, we're very excited. So Tyson, we're going to start right here. You have been helping many others navigate succession for a long time, transitioning from firms and even going through that yourself. So what made you finally say, this needs to be a book?
Yeah, so it just goes back to I learned a long time ago that if I'm honest with myself, I'm a student teacher. I like to learn things. I got to where I am today, not because I was a know-it-all, because I wanted to know and learn and grow. And what I find is when I learn something, I can't help but then want to share it with other people, especially if I think I'm learning some things that a lot of people don't know that need to know.
That's very true. I love that you've applied that to this book to help others learn. So you've seen the consequences of getting succession wrong. You've seen that the impact on families and teams. What's one moment that sticks with you where you thought, this is why advisors have to face the problem of their own succession head on?
It goes back to when I finally had kids and realized, man, I probably need to really have an estate plan. When I needed to start treating myself like a client, like you got to have some planning. When I was doing my estate planning, I realized, wait a second, what about the clients? And I think you're listening to this, and if you made the mistake that a lot of people make that think succession is what you do in the end, no, it's what you do when you have something that's worth living beyond you. If you have people that are entrusting you with your life savings, you might want to have the backup plan, because none of us are guaranteed to be here. A fiduciary is a good steward of what people have entrusted them with, which means they have a backup plan.
Yeah.
And it's evolved ever since then. And then it's really evolved in the last couple of years industry wide. And I felt we learned a lot in the last year or two that I just said, some people just don't know what they need to know about this. And that's why we did it.
Yeah. Well, and you and I both know, because we talk about this all the time, that succession really isn't about retirement or the reason why advisors struggle or even business owners struggle to plan. It's a lot wrapped around their identity, the control, the legacy, and all the things they've sacrificed along the way. So why do you think so many advisors still, even after they help clients plan for their own retirement, wait until it's almost too late to start the conversation?
The urgent crowds out the important, right? Your email, your tasks, the client appointments, the ongoing requests and needs of your time and attention. So I think it's just easy to put it off. It's a humbling process to think, how does this go on without me? And yet the exercise of removing yourself goes so far in helping you realize how you can make your team better, how you can basically build in what is necessary to have this go on beyond you. Because if you continue to not address that, you're trapping yourself in it.
So true. And you've seen many people before you kind of walk into that. and struggle in that space because they are stuck there. And they're trapped, and there really isn't, they only have a very catastrophic exit, and nothing really planned. So, that honestly, I know, kind of leads us into why you started working through the framework of the book, the SPACE acronym. And I know you love a good acronym. So we're going to kind of walk through what it stands for, but individually, we're going to go through each one individually. But what I'd like you to talk about first is why this process matters now more than ever. Like, why should someone take the time to work through this space framework?
I forgot who said it, but it's in part because um, you plan backwards and you execute forwards. I was always taught to with clients, it's like when you pass away, is there a specific dollar amount you want to leave in the end? Because all planning is from that point backwards. It helps you kind of think, what are you working towards? Because you have an end goal, whether it's death or retirement or,
Mhm.
what are you going to do when the kids are out? Like you think into the future and then you bring it back to the present to find out how you then need to execute things to make that a reality. And because succession isn't just, hey, Kim, you're going to take it over if I'm dead, right? It's so much more than that. It's worthy of taking the time, creating the space to figure out what's the best for you and for your team and for the clients.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so true. And time. If you're in that catastrophic moment, more than likely you're not going to have the time to dedicate to planning that out. So let's kind of dig a little bit into C. So C is about the vision. You said it before that if you don't create it, you're going to default into someone else's. So, what kind of future are most advisors afraid to even imagine?
I think because seeing is where it takes the facts and the feelings and kind of gets you something that's a mix of both. I think sometimes when we are individuals, we either get stuck in one paradigm or the other. We either get stuck on how we feel about something or we get stuck on the facts of something. And the idea of seeing who you are if you're not working, the idea of seeing where does the business 10 years from now, seeing what this would look like if you're of the who would take over what things. I think seeing it's kind of like a blank canvas and you're seeing a picture you're painting on there and you can adjust it and then and it has a feeling component. It also has some facts component. It's just like I think it allows you the opportunity to try and experiment with some things and think through some things and just and find that place because I think the picture I'm wanting for myself is where the facts and the feelings settle down and it just is right and it feels good and it's love and it's
Hmm.
joy and it's peace and it's just like, yes, that's it.
Hmm. Yeah. It's the opportunity to wonder. Giving yourself the time to do that. If that's not something that they can spend a lot of time in to start with, the next letter is prepare. So in prepare, you've talked a lot about responsibility. If you didn't come into the office tomorrow, would your team know what to do? You use that a lot in coaching and talking to other advisors, which is huge because they don't think about it like that often. So what have you seen get exposed when advisors don't prepare and they think they have?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of risks there, right? I'm like, had you talked to me a couple years ago, do you have a succession plan? I'm like, yeah. Well, okay. Until I actually went and looked at okay, if we were actually going to try and take money out or allocate money across different members, it just wasn't set up right because I didn't have anybody else speaking into it. So it just gets put off, like your math homework in high school, right? You can only put it off so much because it needs to compound on itself. Preparing
Yep.
is trying to understand what that list is and then what's the most where do you start? Which piece first that you then need to move on to act on? But
Mhm.
my grandma tried to teach me how to bake,
Okay.
and my cakes never turned out right. And she laughed at me because I didn't prepare to bake a cake. I just like measure as I went and stirred, and my grandma would set it up. And it's like her preparing for the recipe was like she would measure and set out each piece for whatever puzzle, and it was laid out like a pretty little chart. And because those ingredients went in a certain order and because they were measured a certain way, it just came out as an entirely different product because she prepared to make the cake where I was just winging it as it came. And I think that's another reason why a lot of advisors probably don't get through the succession part, because it is a process where you really need to kind of prepare and understand the steps and then continue to execute the steps, because if you're just willy-nillying it, you're never going to get it done.
Mm. There you go.
Preparing also can help you see what you've already done,
Mhm.
right? So here's what I want to try and accomplish, and I'm going to go prepare for these things. It's like, oh, wait, this is done. This is like, you already may have made some progress in this act of what your plan, what succession is going to look like for you. And preparing is just, it sets you up to be able to accomplish what you just saw, what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's you don't know what you have until you actually take the time to look through it. So legal support, financial support, different sets of eyes, an attorney who didn't draft your documents. You talk a lot about it, those like key resources and some tactical steps. So we're going to move into ACT. So what we've found is the ACT step in the SPACE acronym is where a lot of advisors stall. They think they need the plan to be perfect before they can start taking any of those first steps moving forward. They don't have it all together, so or they can't let go of anything yet. So Tyson, I think it'd be helpful for you to kind of speak into what's the cost of only staying in your planning mode and not actually taking any steps forward and acting.
the entrepreneur, the advisor, you who are listening to this, that need to come up with the succession, your most important piece is seeing and exiting. The preparing part, and especially the acting part, is what needs to be delegated and brought back to you. Because the act of actually executing on some of the succession stuff may be the attorney, it may be the G2 advisor, it may be the accountant, it may be another coach helping you find opportunities. There's an aspect that the other mistake that I think people make is they have to do this themselves. And it's better in collaboration that many people are acting together to go accomplish this vision that you gave them. Many people can speak into what that list of preparing things are. And sometimes it's thinking about what's the act of delegating it
Mm.
and the
Mhm.
act of making a decision in the end. But I think sometimes this doesn't get done because if you're carrying the yoke of you have to act out every one of the steps and you're not wired for some of these steps or don't have the time for some of these steps, realize that there are resources out there. There are people on your team that can help act out, move this forward than you having
Mm.
to do it just yourself.
Yeah, that's important. You didn't get here on your own. You're not going to get to that next stage on your own. Um, so Tyson, the next letter is commit. And some people find this to be their hardest thing. It's not the acting that's hard for them, it's the committing to what they've put in place. There's a lot that's tied into that, the fear and loss of control, just how much of your life has been tied up into your business. So, what do you actually think pushes advisors finally over that edge to commit to a plan? Or is it someone in their life that helps push them over the edge?
What keeps them from committing is they don't let go. They keep themselves involved in the doing, or they never really committed to what they saw and they keep changing the vision. That it keeps evolving. That's also a part of what prevents the ultimate exit, is because you haven't figured out what you really want to do. And I myself have wasted a lot of time and a lot of resources over 27 years coming up with different legal documents, different succession plans, because I really hadn't committed, nor did I necessarily know to commit to something or see this vision that it continually kept changing. On the opposite side, I think what causes one to commit to let go, let others, to eventually ultimately walk away into a retirement or into another calling. I think what allows that commit to happen is clarity on what that vision is,
Mm.
clarity on why you're going to walk through these doors, these exercises, these delegations. Because I think without a very clear why, you
Mhm.
won't commit to it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it has to be one that you're actually excited about. It
Correct.
can't just be something that is put together or that your spouse says that that's what they want for you. You have to be bought into that.
Yeah. I'm not committing to playing golf it's a lie, right? I'm not committing to go
Yeah.
home and doing nothing.
Mhm.
But I can think of one gentleman, it's just like he is committed to being a grandfather. He is committed to holding his grandson. He's committed to being there at the games and the practices and being there for his family. And that event in his life has allowed him, he saw it, he's prepared for it, he's acting on it, and he's committing to going through this because he has a very clear vision as to why he's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So good transition to the last one, exit. You've seen it done well, and you've seen it not done well. Um, and what do you hope for the advisor feels at the end of this process so that they can feel like they've done this right? What are you hoping for them in this?
I think that it's just that they move themselves into more positive energy, literally like more love, more joy, more peace, more patience. They're moving into what they are ultimately called to be doing, um, that gives them purpose. The whole goal of total succession is to remove the exit from it's done and finished, it's an end, to you're walking out and into something new that you envisioned, that you created, and that you're excited to do. And that those around you are excited to welcome you into this because they've been wanting that for you for however long they've been walking this journey with you. And for those of you that it is not an exit to stop being a financial advisor caring for clients, realize that if you've taken anything, if you read this book, it is to help you realize that some of it is exiting a succession plan, maybe exiting some of the work you're doing, some of the hats that you're wearing, some of the things that are sucking the energy out of you. And that by creating the space to retool your team, create a success in creating the succession plan, you start delegating and building the necessary team to take over some of the work, may allow you to be an advisor longer, but in a space where it doesn't suck the life out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of options out there, is what I'm hearing you say. So for the person who's listening to this right now, if they're listening and they're about 48, maybe they're in their mid 50s, they have no succession plan, they're doing fine financially and don't feel like they're in a rush. What would you say to that person? Where can they start out today?
I'd be proactive. Because I'm currently walking along an advisor who probably 5 years ago, I was encouraging him to start thinking differently about how he was serving clients and how he was living out his, he's in his third decade of doing this business. And now he's reached a point that he's looking back and saying, man, 5 years ago, you're right. But he's also, he had to go through a space of he just hates coming to work. He hates the work that he's doing. He's not excited anymore. And it at the stage of life that he's in, he is frustratingly going through this process to try and retool what he could have done easier 5 years ago.
Mm,
And the mistake we make is, and had he realized 5 years ago, it's just like, hey, your future self at 50 or 55 or 60 or 65 may not want to be doing all this. And if something happens to you, who's the person that's stepping in? And so maybe we should start making that introduction and start making that transition. I think the other thing to realize is, um, I can't help the people that are motivated by money because there's no solution for more money. There just isn't. Um, and I realized a long time ago, my motivation for being a financial advisor or writing Total Succession or Total Relationship or the other things that we're trying to do to impact people's lives is that's what I want to do. I want to impact people's lives. I want to make a difference. And what I realized for myself is that because I want to make a bigger difference, but I only have 24 hours in the day. I only have so much energy in the tank. I only have so many things that actually give me energy when I exercise to go and actually accomplish. I have all kinds of things I've learned I don't like, that finding people that love the things I don't love to do builds the team, builds the impact, helps more people. And I don't have to be the one necessarily face to face to make that impact. And if you can start thinking a little differently about what is your calling, what is your purpose in this, it's an evolution, because if you're successful in this business, you will end up having too much business. which then becomes your joyful prison. The success all of a sudden becomes the failure. The success becomes the thing that robs you of your joy. The success brings the complexity, and it requires, and part of the SPACE framework and part of total succession is, as you learn how to undo that complexity and free yourself up back to the joy you had that caused the success in the first place, you can grow. And what you may not realize in doing that is you're building out the right team for you, the right success for you, so you can have a succession. Because if you keep trying to do this by yourself, you'll reach a ceiling of complexity. There's only so many hours in the day, or only so many clients you can serve.
Yeah, it's very true. So, for those of you listening, I'll just say if any part of today's conversation hit home, don't wait for a better time to start thinking about the future, start thinking about your own exit. You've spent your career helping and serving others prepare for theirs, and now it's your turn. So, Tyson's new book is called Total Succession, and you can now find it on Amazon. We'll be back with more conversations like this.
These conversations are designed to support your next move, however close or far it may be. Tap subscribe and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. I've wrestled with these things myself, and that's exactly why I created something to help you do it with less stress and more direction. My book, Total Succession, is now available on Amazon. Inside, I break the process down into 5 clear steps to help you exit on your terms with confidence, full compensation, and your client's best interests at heart. You can also visit totalsuccession.com/podcast to download a free starter guide that walks you through my SPACE framework: see, prepare, act, commit, exit. Remember, you only exit your business once. Create the space to do it well. Thanks for listening. Until next time.